Welcome back, everyone, to the Monmouth Moms podcast. I'm so excited to be here today at Bell Works. I have a very, very fun guest today, Amanda Bybel Kuttner. She is a certified life coach and business owner in Monmouth County, local mom. Really interesting story. You reached out to me, I guess, like about a month ago, with your story, and I had a chance to sit down and look at your email, and it was really just unique and so interesting. So I'm excited to dive into your life. Yay! I'm excited to divulge all the secrets and learn more about you, because I think that there's so many moms that will be inspired by what you've done. Yay. And hopefully, you can touch a few other moms out there, right, who are interested in maybe, changing their lives as well. So awesome. Tell me where you're from.
So I grew up in Howell for 7 years.
Okay.
And then my family moved to Freehold Township. Uh-huh. So born and raised Howell, Freehold. And then I grew up and went to college and then moved into New York City with my now husband.
Okay.
And now we're living in Tinton Falls.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were born in Monmouth County?
Born and raised in Monmouth County. Mm-hmm.
Like at what hospital?
I was born in Perth Amboy, but my family lived in Howell.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like most of our guests so far have all moved here either because they got married and moved here, or they were born here, but they lived in New York for a little bit, like me. You know what I mean? Like most people are I think I was born in the Bronx, and then we lived in New York, moved around a bit till I was 4. Yeah. Then moved to New Jersey, and I moved to Monmouth County when I was 7. So it's
I lived here the whole time, and then we dabbled in New York City for a little bit, and then I got pregnant during COVID, and 41 flights up, and elevator sharing with people who could potentially be sick while pregnant wasn't conducive to anyone. So we started looking for places, and the only real estate available at the time were the homes in Tinton Falls that actually Fort Monmouth was getting redeveloped, and that's where we moved.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, we were looking there too during COVID, because we actually moved also during COVID, and now we're looking to move again, which is still a nightmare and a totally separate. I should probably
it's a whole other animal.
It's oh my God, I can't. I was very long story short, I found my dream house the other day in Shrewsbury, and my husband was just put an offer, and I was no, it's going to go over $100,000 over asking, and and it did.
Well, that's what happened with our home. So they're all new construction, and we moved in 2021. We actually closed on the house right after my first baby was born.
Okay.
And now they've gone up 40%.
That's great.
And the people across the street were the first to sell in the neighborhood, and made almost double their homes.
It's insane.
But with interest rates, people are wild.
It is.
It's
wild.
a whole other animal.
I keep saying maybe just one more year. My stepdaughter just moved in with us, so we're a little bit more condensed in the house, which is great. But also we just need more space.
Of course.
But I'm maybe just one more year, because I don't know when is it gonna stop?
I don't know. I talked to my mother-in-law's a real estate agent, so I talked to her, and so is my aunt.
Okay.
But I talked to my mother-in-law every day about this, and she's just my head is spinning. It's not stopping. We thought it was going to end, and it's not ending.
But it's really there's still a major inventory issue.
Yeah.
And it's just where a lot of the people, it's a desirable area to live, so I can understand why it doesn't it's not ending, because a lot of people want to live here. Here. So I totally get it.
More moms to impact for you.
Yeah. So you lived in the city. So let's backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
So you went to school for what?
I went to school for exercise, physiology, and kinesiology. Okay, at the time, obsessed, love it. I still love exercising. But I think the goal at the time was to maybe go to chiropractic school or physical therapy school. And I was actually, in my email, I let you know how I'm in recovery for drug addiction.
Yep.
So at that time, I was really in it with my addiction, and I just kind of got lost.
Okay.
Lost in the sauce. I had no direction. And when it came time to graduate, I was really sick.
Okay.
Really, really sick. And I ended up going through a couple years of just a downward spiral. And then when I came out, I ended up getting a job at Keller Williams in Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was my first real quote unquote job, because it was my first job as like a human.
Like a career job.
Like a career job.
Yeah, right.
And then I was an executive assistant. From there, I got a job in New York City. I had always been like this go-getter, never taking no for an answer type of mentality. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting an executive assistant role in Manhattan at Cantor Fitzgerald. Oh. And then I worked at a hedge fund for quite some time. And with that job was how we got brought to New York City, and then I ended up being a career executive assistant, so working in finance and everything like that. And at the end of my corporate journey, I had spent like years just banging my head against the desk thinking like, WTF am I doing?
Right.
You know, it just didn't feel fulfilling for me. And I ended up enrolling in a personal development program that actually changed my life.
Wow.
And it was just 30 days. And when I'm telling you, it only took the 30 days to really just get like a refresher and like this renewed rebirth feeling like, oh my gosh, there's so much more out there than, you know, and if you're an executive assistant, there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't for me.
It wasn't like they would say that emotional paycheck, right? Because I'm sure that it was fulfilling from a financial standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. You could afford to live on your own and you could take vacations and all of those things. But it's really that like dreading the Sunday scaries and the, dreading Monday morning.
So much.
I can completely relate to that. I worked, I sold wine, like wholesale wine sales for a long time, which in the beginning I loved. I majored in hospitality in school. I used to manage restaurants, and then I kind of made this like natural progression into selling wine, which I was able to like work within that realm, but also be home. I was a single mom, so I like was home for my son at night, but I was during the day like working with restaurateurs and business owners and kind of similarities to what I do now, where like I help local businesses make money, right? Certain things. So but there was a lot of fulfillment there, but towards the end of it, there was not, the industry changed a lot and it was not as lucrative as it used to be. So I would have to, if I had stayed in it to make what I wanted to make, I would have to travel more, and I just didn't want to do that. I had my daughter at the time, so it was just not fulfilling. But I thought that, okay, I work in sales, I can sell anything, right?
Yeah.
I like to sell, so I'll go sell software. So I worked for this company for 2 years, and great company. I actually loved who I worked with, but what I actually sold was like every day. I remember I love to work. That's my favorite thing to do. It's like I love getting up on Monday and like, what can I do this week? What can I change? What can I evolve? How can I grow? And I wanted to be, like you said, I wanted to beat my head on this. It was awful, awful. And it was just not for me. And I kept trying to force it. Like, okay, well, here's here's why this is good. And here's, I could just make this work. And it wasn't working for me. So
let me ask you a question, though, because for me, it was a very lucrative job. We had our dream apartment. We were traveling the world. Like it was just from the outside looking in, everything looked perfect, like picture perfect. Like people are just like, I want that life, you know? But I had this guilt ate away at me because I wasn't fulfilled. Like I thought that there was something wrong with me for not being happy at my job. No. Did you ever feel that way?
Oh yeah. I mean, but the difference there was that I was actually not succeeding in this role.
Okay.
And I couldn't figure out why, but it was really because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
That was 1,000% why, and I can talk to anyone and I can, can say you sell ice to a Eskimo or whatever. I don't know if I'm like that salesy, if I'm like really relatable and I can, if I see value in something, I can generally speaking, like sell it to someone. But at the same time, I could not sell the software to sell for the life of me. I was really bad at it. And I think it was just because it wasn't interesting to me. I wasn't passionate about it. So that was very challenging, but I, finally made the decision to quit and start Monmouth Moms full time, and that was very transformative. And I should talk about that on another podcast one day. But
you totally should because it's so inspiring when you hear about people who make those like really, I don't want to call it a painful pivot, but kind of a painful pivot because you don't know what's on the other side, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not. Because there's lots of fallbacks. You could always go back and to what you did, and because of how you're all of the different steps along the way, you picked up all of these different life skills and skill sets, right? To do, to go back if you had to, right? So that's what I always say to myself.
I like to say that the biggest risk is in not trying.
It's so true. Right? Very true. So how did you meet your husband?
We just met through friends.
Okay.
Because we're both from Monmouth County.
Oh, so he's from here.
Yeah. Oh, so he grew up in Marlboro.
Okay. Funny.
So we're both born and raised in Monmouth County. So it's only natural and normal that we came back here to our roots.
Okay.
My in-laws live in Marlboro still. My mom's in Farmingdale. My sister's in Lincroft. Like we are all just like a tight-knit Monmouth County family.
So you met and then you moved to the city together.
Yeah. So we started dating, had like the normal like 1 or 2 random breakups.
Yep.
Moved into a house in South Amboy and then moved to the city for like 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, and then moved back to my mom's because our house was getting built.
Oh, nice.
And then had Julian, and now we're in Tin Falls.
Aw, very nice. And does he work in the same industry that you did, or totally different?
No, he was at Johnson & Johnson, and now he's at Blinds to Go in Lakewood. So if anyone needs
that's a big facility.
Yeah.
Right? Like a giant.
Yeah, he's actually down in Mexico. They're doing something with their manufacturing facility.
Oh.
I'm home with the kids and the cats this week, hence all the waffle in the hair.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So tell me, you moved to Tinton Falls, and then you so this is kind of where things get really interesting for you. You started your you went to that class, or how did things
so I actually was in 2019. We were still in the city, and I was just at the end of my rope with the job. I specifically remember the day where I like went looking and stalking online to like see what other answers were out there for me. It was a rainy day. It was January in New York City. I was an executive assistant, so my boss had asked me to go and just like grab Starbucks for everyone, and there was 5 people in the office. So if you know a Starbucks holder, it has 4 little spots for drinks. So there was 5 people. So it's raining out, the coffee holder. And I remember coming back into the office. I was like soaking wet. It was freezing cold outside. My mascara was like rubbed everywhere. And I came home from work that day and I looked at my husband and I'm like, I can't do this. And I had this like ugly cry, snotty meltdown, like I just can't do this anymore. He goes, whatever you do, you can't quit your job. And I was like, I know, because, we had lots of things that we had to pay for. So I went online, started doing like searching, and just fell in love with this girl's message about personal development. And it turned out that when I enrolled, she was using neuro-linguistic programming as a coach to me as a client. And for those of you who don't know what NLP is, it's essentially the way that I like to explain it is like the science behind manifestation, or like the way our mind works behind the scenes, like the subconscious. And I had a lot of outdated programming in my mind that wasn't working for me anymore. And she asked me a very simple question, and it was, how do you define success? Well, at the time, I had defined success as like the CEOs who were running the hedge funds, or viral YouTube videos, or like, Angelina Jolie or something to that effect. And I had never taken the opportunity to define success and what it meant for me, or how I wanted to embody success.
Right.
So my whole life, I had been trying to climb this ladder to emulate success as far as like what society had defined success to be. Right. And never took a second.
Like, you didn't want to be Angelina Jolie.
I didn't want to be Angelina Jolie. I didn't want to be running a hedge fund.
No,
I didn't want any of that. No, it was honestly, every time I'd go into work, I'd be like, I definitely don't want to be doing this.
Yes, right. Right.
So it was almost like this push-pull effect, right? So like anytime, like you were saying with the wine, or the software, I'm sorry, where you loved what you were doing, you just hated what you were selling.
Yeah.
So you weren't successful at it, and that's how I felt too. So I ended up setting this goal after redefining success, and I hit the goal for the first time in my life, like in 30 days. So I was like, if I could do this, someone who struggled with addiction, someone who, had an eating disorder, someone who, had really, really dark moments where I really didn't think that I could go on anymore. If I could hit a goal, then anyone could hit a goal. Right? So I ended up getting certified naturally, of course, getting certified in all of the things that the coach at the time was certified in. And I fell in love with it so much that I got master certified. And then I got, so it's kind of like if you get a bachelor's and then a master's degree, right? So it goes a little bit deeper. And then I ended up getting the next level, which is a trainer certification, which then allowed me to create a certification so I could actually train people in it and be more a part of the ripple effect.
Okay.
So that's where like the life coach school came from,
Mm-hmm.
like the certification that I teach.
Yeah.
But that required me, and this is actually really funny, to go to South Dakota during the pandemic because it was supposed to be in LA and everything was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, no, this is not going to work for me. I ended up in South Dakota for the entire summer of 2020, pregnant, getting certified as a trainer so I could create the certification.
Wow.
So I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for summer of 2020.
Your goal was to then start the school to be able to bring this to other women or anyone.
Well, that's what,
okay.
That was the mission. I thought that because I was able to shift my life, I didn't want to only just work with people one-on-one. Mm-hmm. I wanted to fill classrooms and equip people so that they can go out and use it in their own life, use it with their kids, use it with clients, use it however they wanted,
right.
You know? So now I work with like leaders and moms and just people who want to experience personal growth and,
right.
and coaches.
So tell me a little bit about what that looks like, without obviously divulging the whole curriculum, but what are some of the things that are like really beneficial to anyone that takes away from it, and you know what exactly they'll get from it when they take a class with you?
Yeah, so it's just about understanding the layers of the mind really, and creating awareness with the thoughts that are going through our head, because it all comes down to the thought cycle, right? So everything around us is just information, and it's how we filter and define that information, and then it creates meaning in our mind. Mm-hmm. So we're both in this podcast studio right now, having a very similar external experience. I could walk out of this room right now and be like, oh my God, that was the worst conversation ever. And then you can be like, oh my God, that was such a fun conversation, right? And it's and I don't feel that way. This is an amazing conversation. I'm loving it. But what I'm saying is that it's just depending on our internal programming, right? Yeah. On how we're going to define something.
And how you speak to yourself.
And how we speak to ourselves. Right. So what happens is it comes through this set of filters, and then there's a picture that pops up in our head. So if I tell you don't think about the blue tree, what are you thinking about? A blue tree. Right. And society is naturally just always defaulting to the don't and the not and what we don't want to see instead of what we do want to see. Right. So because our mind actually doesn't process negatives, if we wake up and say, I don't want to feel stressed out today, I don't want to feel overwhelmed today, guess what? You're reiterating stress, overwhelm, and then that's what your mind is going to pick up on. Right. So it's about learning the language of the mind, so that we can reframe our thoughts and then in turn shift our reality, shift our external reality.
So yesterday I had to have like a serious conversation with myself about not like you get into, I guess, periods of time where you're just like self-doubt and like like, you know, like you're beating yourself up about like whatever. Right. And then I was like, well, what are you doing? You know, kind of like stop. And what you tell yourself often becomes your reality, right? For sure. And when you change the way that like you are just speaking to yourself and what, you know, the outcome is going to be just even for the day, then that turns into the week and turns into the month. It's very powerful and transformative, but it's also like a practice, right? It is a practice. Yeah. So bringing awareness to those thoughts that are on repeat are like the essential step, because you may not realize that you're telling yourself, I can't do it, or there's doubt happening. But once you do realize that those are the thoughts that are replaying in your mind, you can start to choose different thoughts. Right. Like, actually, I'm a badass business owner. Like, I can totally do it. This is going to be the best day of my life, instead of like, like, why did this happen again? And what could happen? And I think fear too is like a big, you know, that's a big, you know, trigger for a lot of people, why they don't do things and why they don't take risks. But it can be like crippling in some ways, you know, for I think for a lot of people. So this is, you know, incredibly beneficial and just, you know, really interesting topic. So tell me so you started, you got your certification. Yep. And then what happened? So you mean after South Dakota? Yeah. So I was still living at my mom's. We were still waiting for the house to get built. And my father passed away. And it was like this whole unexpected, thank you. It was this whole unexpected thing that happened. But I think because I had so much work that I've done, that I was able to, instead of like isolate and like distract myself, I was able to really be present for my family in that time. But I ended up having to, I was launching my
certification literally within that week. So I pushed it off a week. I launched the certification, and in September, we started. It was on Zoom, and then I ran my first retreat in Salem, Massachusetts, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like someone who's like very much into that.
Why Salem?
Because I'm very much into like the energetics
and
crystals and all of the things, right? So Salem obviously is known for like the witchiness.
Yep.
And I thought, well, where else would be more perfect than to do some like voodoo magic with people, not actual voodoo magic, not actual voodoo magic, but sometimes mindset work feels like magic because all of a sudden it's like it's pop a bubble, you break through a boundary, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like,
it takes like a lot of thought to actually really fully understand that, right? That element of that like magic, you know, within like our universe, but it's very true.
Yeah, so that was like my main goal was to create like a really cool experience with the first round or the first retreat that I ran.
Okay.
And then it was a lot of work to work with hotels to like, and then I don't know if you do events and stuff I mean, I know you do here.
No, I don't do the hotel aspect of it, but I'm sure it's, you know, it's a huge hurdle. Enormous. That's probably the biggest way to describe it.
It was hard.
It's enormous.
So that's where the Red Bank office came. So I decided to get the office instead of working with hotels and negotiating contracts multiple times a year. It makes more sense to have a space.
Oh, so they come. Okay.
Yeah, so everyone just comes to New Jersey now.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So where did you get your following initially? Like, how did you even get the people to invest in your business at the time?
So I think the initial following came from, I have a podcast called The Related Podcast. So it is a very successful podcast. Had a lot of people coming from there.
Okay.
I do a lot of collaborations. So that definitely helps. And my sister is a well-known influencer as well. So that has always been like a natural funnel for people to find me.
Right.
Because we do a lot of videos together talking about mindset. We do workshops together sometimes. So that has definitely helped. But I think just consistency. And I also want to just let everybody know that like followers do not equal customers.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have to leverage what you got and provide value, and then the customers or clients or however you want to phrase it come, and you can be very successful with 100 or 10 followers as like you can be with like 100,000 followers. It's just a matter of how you leverage your audience and leverage your skills.
So you mentioned that the other day when we first had a call to talk about the podcast and our partnership. And you mentioned how you kind of made a switch to really fully understand that if you're not offering value to your client base, then there is no business, right? No. There is nothing that that you're not that you're not valuable, right? That you're not providing value. And that's very true. That's true in sales. That's true. Yeah. People have a innate, need to buy something that they not necessarily, they need it, but they want it, right? Like it has to have that the desire to invest in whatever it is. If it's, a new shirt or a house
or a coaching certification,
that you have to see the value. So what was it that like really kind of that switch that flipped?
I had to ask myself what kind of accounts I was following.
Okay.
Right? And what was keeping me there. And was my content the kind of content that was bingeable content, or was it like all sales? Like no one ever wants to see all sales.
Right.
No one cares about me that much.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they care about me, but like my family and all my friends and stuff, but like they don't care about me that much where they're going to stick around if I'm always trying to sell them. And that's a big mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs making or like business owners making is they're always like, this is on sale. I'm selling this. I'm doing this. I'm selling that. But like, where's the education piece? Where are you creating the wants and the desire behind the scenes? So it was really learning how to communicate the value of what I had through understanding who my ideal client was and really listening to them and polling them and asking what would be something interesting for them to learn about. So I teach manifestation, I teach, mommy mindset, I teach mini mindset, I teach like all of that stuff. But I realized that I wasn't focused on what they needed. I was only communicating what I had to sell.
Got it.
So
because of how you had been trained maybe too. And like,
I come from like a network marketing background too. And I feel like it was just a lot of power. Not that it's not successful or a good career. If that's yours, amazing. But for me, it didn't work because it was always like, join my team, buy my product, and never communicating the value behind it.
Right. No, it's so true. And like, yeah, this is great. You should get this, rather than like why. We should, really explain to you why it's something that you need.
Yeah. So there was like a big shift that happened when I started to feel like that burning desire in my belly to buy something. And I'm like, oh, this is good. Like, it's the message, right? The product's not changing, or the program or the course or whatever isn't changing. It's the message that changes, that creates the desire. Mm-hmm.
So, so you opened your office in Red Bank, and I know now you're also hosting workshops for moms and minis. So did that start a while ago, or is this something newer?
So I'm actually doing my first one at the end of June. Is the Mama and Minis tapping workshop. So one of my favorite things to talk about is emotional freedom technique, which is what I was telling you. Mm-hmm. It's tapping, and it is all about unclogging stuck energy and promoting like confidence and emotional regulation and different amazing things that you can use for yourself as a mom, but also for your kids. It's like you bring your hands everywhere. It's really easy to use.
Yeah.
So I have been in this like pivot the last year because I'm fully integrated into like motherhood now, that like my mission is so much bigger than just, it's not, and I don't want to say just the certification, because the certification is a huge mission, but it's deeper than that now.
Right.
Because
you've become a mom, you've grown, your life has changed a lot, right? But all like, kind of wrapped up within these years of becoming a mother, and then also, starting your own business. And it just
takes on so much more meaning.
So many different,
and like, because the mind is so powerful and it's so much more susceptible when your kids are under the age of 7. I think it just took on even deeper meaning from like what I teach, how I can be even more intentional with my children.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about tapping. I know there's, I don't know if it's like a buzz term, but gentle parenting is kind of, you see that everywhere right now, where like, you're really just trying to, my kids are a little bit older. My son's 19, my daughter is 8. We kind of probably come from like a different generational parenting like examples that we had in terms of like, like if you say it nicely 3 times, then you have to yell, right? So I think now this gentle parenting term is really more about like using your words and like trying to express emotion without having to yell at all. And so tell me a little bit more about like how this would incorporate the...
Yeah, so I know my default sometimes is to just go to like get all stressed out if my toddler is not listening to me. Like the other day, he didn't want to take his pajamas off.
Right.
And he wanted to go to school in his pajamas. And like, in theory, it's not that big of a deal. Like, he wanted to go to school in his pajamas, big deal.
Yeah.
But it could have been like me fighting him, or it could be me taking a second, like taking a deep breath, like bringing me back to like just present and center, and like, he's a child, he is 2.5 years old, and how would he respond to me yelling versus how would he respond to me giving him options? Right. So while that's not a tapping technique, it's emotional regulation technique, right? Taking a second to breathe. But with the tapping, I use it every day. I use it with my kids because we say affirmations and we tap on our tapping points. And afterwards, like, I could tell that Julian is definitely calmer, whether he stops and picks his nose in between while we're doing a point, like right by the lips. But for me, it's just a bonding experience because he's now learning something that can help him take a second before reacting and throwing a toddler tantrum.
Right.
He teaches Cameron how to do it, even though Cameron has no idea. He's 9 months old. But for me, it allows you to release any negative energy, negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, frustration, stress. It is also proven to reduce the stress hormone cortisol by over 40% in a single session.
Wow.
So like, imagine you wake up in the morning and you're stressed out because you, I don't know, slept through your alarm, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be like such a crazy day now. Like, take 2 minutes and, tapping on your tapping points. I slept through my alarm, what a big deal that is. It's not going to be the end of the world, and I can still have an amazing day, and I might feel behind the ball right now, but that doesn't mean that today is going to be a bad day.
Right.
Because every day has good in every day.
Wow.
And I have my kids. And then it's kind of talking through it.
Okay.
But as you're talking through it, saying affirmations and tapping on your energy points, it creates this sense of calmness. Here, try it. Go like this and just say something that maybe frustrated you this morning.
I couldn't get my car fixed in time.
And what did that create?
Frustration.
And how do you feel now?
Like I'm talking through it.
Yeah. Now, and then you go like this, and then you'll start to feel like almost like an energetic buzz around your face. Like, do you feel it right?
Yes.
And that was literally 3 seconds.
Wow.
Imagine doing that for 2 minutes.
Right.
Or a minute.
Okay.
Or 5.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
It's wild.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great thing to teach kids too, to be able to like work through like any emotion and any age. So this is the workshop is available to moms and minis, but for what age group? You said
toddlers to preteens.
Right.
So we'll be talking through age appropriate techniques that we can use at any level. And then you're also going to learn how to utilize it for yourself as a mom, because we can do a little bit more, I don't want to call it complicated, but more advanced techniques, because we're not trying to teach it to a 2-year-old, you know? So yeah, it's going to be on Zoom, June 29th and July 6th. So it's like the rain check one if you can't make the first.
Yeah, no, I think it'll
be recorded.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your school that you have in Red Bank. You have clients from all over the world. And I think we didn't touch on like how successful this school has been, because you are a very successful 7-figure entrepreneur, mompreneur in Monmouth County.
Yes.
So that's like significant success in like less than 4 years.
Less than 4 years.
So what is your client base?
So I work with people who are digital nomads. I work with people who just want to feel better. People who are already coaches, people who want to start their mindset coaching or life coaching business.
Interesting.
It's really just learning transformational tools to keep in your toolbox. So when I think about like who the main person who comes through is, mostly someone who wants to start a coaching business, because we are accredited by the International Coaching Federation and also the International Board of Coaches and Practitioners. So they're coaching boards. So it's most people who come through want to become a life coach or start their business. And then a chunk of people who come through are already coaches. They're just feeling like about their ability to work with clients or their confidence in working with clients, because they don't actually have tools. Coaching's not regulated. So that means like Joe Schmo down the block can call himself a life coach, and like whether or not he can help you is another story, but no one could come after him for that.
That's an interesting topic, because you're right. There are a lot of life coaches out there, and or quote unquote, and you it leads you to be skeptical, I'd say, right? Of like how credible the person is that you're investing, your time and money with. But that's interesting to know that like there is at least like a, something that like an organization that is like trying to regulate and
right. So like they give you like these standards to follow, but like I think the most common misconception about coaching is that like you just give really good advice, and that's actually not coaching at all. Advice giving is like, that would be the consultant hat. Right? Like not everything that works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. So coaching is about learning how to master the art of powerful questions, like simple, powerful questions to guide your client to answers that they already have within. Right? So I don't want to ever put my beliefs onto you by giving you advice. Right? I want to ask you questions about how you want to feel, how you want to be, what you want to see here, and what kinds of goals you want to create and how we can get there. And your clients are all over the world. Yes. And they finish with the certification, and then some of them start their own life coaching business, and some just take it into their own careers or their life path and apply it there. That's very cool. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. So you're also a mom of 2. Yes. 2 boys. 2 boys. How old are they? 2.5 and 9 months. Aw. Yeah. And what's it like running the business with the kids? Do you bring them to the office? No. Is it no? They do not come. They don't come. I mean, Julian helped. I have like this huge feather wall. Julian quote unquote helped my husband install it, but other than that, it is not a child friendly place. It's like that's my sanctuary outside of the home.
That's nice.
And one of the reasons why I decided to get an office aside from running the retreats there is like I couldn't work from my house. Like I couldn't sit down and like actually concentrate on anything because if I heard one of the kids crying, like I'm out there and seeing what's wrong, and I couldn't get any work done. So for me, it was really important to get out of the house.
That's nice. I think a lot of people like find or feel there's like a luxury of working from home and stuff, but at the same time, like I think it depends on the person and like how productive you are, and also like your surroundings. If you have like, there's a difference of like a 10-year-old being at home versus like a 9-month-old.
Right. And I always want to like be in it. Like I want to hold my baby if he's going down for nap time if I'm home and I'm able to do it. Like I want to, have the baby do it.
So you were actually featured yesterday on the Monmouth Moms as our Meet a Mom. I love the Meet a Mom feature. I've been bad about it the last 6 months. I got to bring it back because I got a lot of people who are like, I love this new feature. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 5 years because I find it fascinating to learn more about moms who are working professionals and entrepreneurs and just get how they get and not right. And just how they get it done like all day long. Right. If you have 4, like to me, a mom who has 4 kids, like under the age of 5, like that's fascinating because I know, like I think like know thyself, you need to know like who you are. I would not have been able to handle that.
No,
I'm not wired that way. And I get very overwhelmed by like mess and clutter and chaos and stuff. So I think I also create my own chaos, but like in a different respect. And like having 4 under 5 or 5 under 5. Oh my gosh. But some women like it's in their bones. Like they thrive in that, like in rearing children and like just the being in the trenches, right, of like having little kids. And then also like I think for having now like raised a teen is eye-opening because I think people are like, let's have another one. And you're like, but you still have to like raise them when they're all teenagers and there's 4 of them and you're like, and they have to get a car and then they're out till 11 and you have to.
It's a whole other chapter.
It's a lot, right? So what is that like? What is your day like? What is your routine? Do you have a routine?
Well, currently in the present day, we don't really have a routine happening because my husband's traveling and that's like kind of brings a little extra chaos. But normally my routine is I wake up at like 4 a.m. I go to a workout class at 5. I actually just joined Alpha Fit Club in Red Bank.
I hear such great things about them.
I have always considered myself like a worker outer type of person, like heavy duty. And I went to my first class on Saturday at 6 a.m. and I think I almost died.
I hear it's like amazing.
It's amazing. So I obviously joined. I'm like, I need more of this. So I'll be actually going to their 4:15 a.m. class.
So it's, oh my gosh. To me, that is a lot. So you've always gotten up at 4 or is this like a newer thing?
It started in maybe like 2016 when I was commuting to the city because I wanted to get to the gym before I went into work. And I'm the type of person, if I don't do it in the morning, like it really doesn't happen.
I'm the same way. I hate taking 2 showers. And I hate like having to, I just hate taking 2 showers. And I hate it hanging over my head for the rest of the day. Like that you need to, I'm a runner. That's it. That's all I do. I don't like, I always say I'm going to go to classes. I never do. I've literally belonged to like it's like a pool club, the Cambridge Club in Aberdeen. And I can walk there. I can see it from my front yard. And like there's a gym and like they do yoga. So I have no excuses at all. And like it's part of the membership. So, but I do run a lot. So like
that's what you like. And you got to do what you love.
It is. But I always say like every week I'm like, all right, I'm going to start I get up at like 6:30-ish. But I'll usually like work a little bit and then like I'll make my daughter, like she likes pancakes. So I make her pancakes because that's like something that I wasn't able to do when I was working all those years and I was rushed into daycare and like all those things. So it's like something that I really like. I think is nice that I can like make her pancakes and I'm not like rushing to get, her to daycare or whatever.
That's really sweet.
But some weeks I'm really good. I'll get up at like 5:30 and I'll run like 6 miles and I'm great. And then other weeks it's like I get her to school and then now summer's here. So she's like in camp. And then I go afterwards. Right. But then it's like this very annoying like predicament that I worked a little bit in the morning, but then I go for my run and then like I either don't shower or I will shower and then it's like 10 o'clock. So I feel like those hours are so valuable that like I should have been working. You know what I mean? So how do you are you a morning person?
Now I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am totally a morning person, especially now that like the kids are in a good routine. Back to being like the morning. It's like my time to thrive.
Yeah.
So I'm at the gym. I get home from the gym. I take my shower. I enjoy a quiet cup of my like hot black coffee. Usually on the front porch in the warmer months. And then by that time, like the kids start waking up around like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Get them all set and ready to go. On Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday I work. On Tuesdays and Fridays I'm with them and we hang out.
That's so nice though, because you've like already like worked on yourself, right? So like when they wake up, you're like you're
in a good mindset.
Yeah, you're just you're ready to like care for them, and you don't have to worry about like all the things
all the
checking the boxes. Because I love when moms like say that they work out regularly, and not because of for any other reason, that it's so good for your mental health. Like when I run, like I just check a box and I just feel so much better. They call it like moving meditation, and it's really like I don't meditate, but I do feel like that's like my time where I like reflect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's another thing that goes into like mommy mindset too, right? Like you have to make sure you're taking time for yourself, because you can't, like the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup, but like you can't.
Right.
And when I was in like I don't want to call it the dark days, but the early days of like newbornness, it's like hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not working out. I'm not doing anything for myself. And
your hormones are
going wild. And like, I don't know if anyone else has ever felt this way, but I started to feel like resentful towards like everything and everyone around me, because I wasn't getting sleep. I wasn't doing anything for myself. I hadn't gotten, it sounds so superficial, but like I hadn't gotten a manicure in weeks. And like, I just didn't feel human.
Yep.
Like I felt like this vessel trying to keep a child alive. And like, I love my kids so much. They are like my heart and soul and like joy and all the things. But like my well-being and your well-being, and as a mom, like our well-being has to come first, so that we can feel so in love with ourselves, so that we can feel so in love with our life and our kids and everything that we have in it.
So true. That whole like I think I mentioned this earlier, there's like a generational expectation with moms. I think when we were growing up, that like moms had to only be for their children or they weren't good moms, right? And like that, like I've always kind of, even like when I had my son, it was still kind of very similar. Like the moms that I had him when I was 19, and I was in college and I got married very young. I was really young. It was like, talk about isolating. It was a very different experience because all of my friends were in college, and then I was home, like, taking care of a house and just not being where I wanted to be. I was so happy with him, but at the same time. So it was different, not only isolating, but also just only really knowing from your own parents, like how to parent or whatever, and like not, like not caring about yourself, which does lead to a lot of resentment and a lot of things. So it's really important, I think, to take care of yourself.
It carries all like those generational patterns, right?
So
and
true.
All the things that like we say we'll never do, and then we find ourselves doing them because we don't know any better.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wild.
It's really interesting. So you have the two little ones, and you are Monmouth County native. So tell us where you like to bring them now, and what are your favorite places?
So I love to bring them to Oak Hill Farms.
Yeah.
It's like just such a happy place to go. And Julian loves the alpacas and the donkeys, and Cameron's now like super engaged with all the animals, and he always gets his cookie when we go, and Julian picks out like his star cookie or the bumblebee cookie or whatever. So it's really cute to bring them there. We love Homedale Park.
Yeah.
My kids love animals.
Yeah.
We like the playgrounds. Anywhere like within the Monmouth County park system, like Doorbrook Park, we love. We love the splash pad the splash.
Yeah, the splash pad.
Splash pad. I'm like, is that what it's called? Yeah, the splash pad during the summer. We go on the playground. It's great because it's like so centrally located. We're right in Tinton Falls, so it's like super easy.
Carla from Oak Hill Farms was on the podcast, I guess, like a few months ago, and I was telling her how it's like kind of the perfect spot to go because it's like it's a great way to break up the day. Like you can. You can grab a coffee, right? You can like pick up some cute little, gifts for your house, or if you need a gift or whatever. And the kids love it too. They get to see the animals. They have like these little games sometimes, and then obviously they do the little events, here and there. So I love it there. Yeah. I was there the other day. I spend way too much money there. It's like the perfect place to get a gift, and everyone ends up loving it.
And wait, so another plug for them, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Their vitamin C serum. I was just on her Instagram story. Okay, I use it in on my body everywhere every single day. I've gotten so many comments about my skin because I had like all these. I was
thinking just now how your skin looked. I was
really?
like, well, she's probably a lot younger than me.
Well, it's the Fountain of Youth from Oak Hill Farms. I put it in my foundation on my face.
She talked about it on the podcast a lot. That was kind of going to be her focus this year is the skincare. And I feel like, oh, you know what I have? The only thing I have is the what's like the setting like
powder spray?
No, it's like a spray.
Yeah.
But I'm bad with like makeup. I don't know how to use half of it. So it's like I've used it a couple times.
Like
if I go out,
yeah.
I'll use it. But I'm gonna go get it now. Yeah. I'm like a skincare junkie. I really am.
Me too. I love skincare.
Like we'll give a plug to her Space Med Spa too, Jess. She's like every time I go there, even if I don't have to go there, sometimes they're my clients too. So I have to take like I'm like, so what do you got?
What kind of new things can I do to my skin today?
Wear sunscreen. It's like a big PSA. Anyone listening, if you're a young mom and listening, you're in your 20s, for the love, please wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen.
We used to like slather oil and like sun in our hair. That's what we did. Like,
yeah, same. I'm from the same generation. Yeah. Orange hair and like just getting as tan as possible.
I know. Now this is like the first few years where I'm like not doing that.
Remember like the white lipstick with the dark tan.
White lipstick and white eyeliner.
Yes.
That is like definitely my MO.
So funny.
So where can everyone find you?
On Instagram or probably at one of the parks. Inner Beauty Bybel on Instagram. I also just started my other page, Mindset with Minis. So I have 2 Instagram pages, but my main one is Inner Beauty Bybel, Bybel.
And you have a website?
And the website is innerbeautybybel.com.
Okay.
And YouTube's Inner Beauty Bybel. So it's all the same across all the channels.
Handles. Yeah. Got it. And what would you say to anyone listening, women in general who are thinking about maybe starting their own business or just changing their life in some way? What would you say to them if they're kind of on the fence about it?
If you don't ever give it a try, it'll never happen.
So true.
Yeah.
It's super, super true. Yeah. The worst that, can happen is it doesn't work out. Right. But that usually leads to something better anyway. So
yeah, it's just information you're collecting along the way of like what didn't work.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Right.
Just do it.
And I forgot to ask what favorite restaurants?
Ooh, so there's such a long list.
Okay.
But my most frequented is Gargiulo's in Tinton Falls.
I have never been there. I just passed it because I went to Nicholas the other day, the creamery.
Yeah.
And I love that area of Tinton Falls, by the way. It's so beautiful.
It's really pretty.
And it's such a beautiful little restaurant. It's good. It's
really good. It's so easy. Their chicken scarpaiello with hot cherry peppers.
So good.
So good.
I got to go there.
So
it's
we
nice
love
this summer. They have like the outdoor with the lighting and stuff that looks good. Yeah, I'm going to go there.
So we go there a lot, and then we love Yumi.
I love Yumi. Like, I haven't been. I don't go there enough.
It's the closest you'll get to like New York City style sushi.
Yeah. It's very hard to get good sushi, especially where I live. Like I live right off of like 34 in Aberdeen, and like along 34 there are some good spots, and some I've yet to try, but not like as many as I would like.
Yeah. Well, Yumi is for sure.
Yumi is so good. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm excited to learn more about your story and share it with our Mom with Moms network. It is summer tomorrow, officially summer tomorrow, which kicks off. It's my birthday on Monday, actually. Yay. So it's my last year of 30. I'll be 39. So I'm going to really
You do not look it at all.
I'll take it. It's all the serums. It's all of the skincare.
All the skincare.
We have a lot coming up this summer. I'm in the midst of planning our next event, so we'll probably announce that in July. I'm working on Mom's Evening Out. I keep getting this question a lot. I'm having a little trouble securing the right venue. So I'm working on it. It was supposed to be this summer, but I don't know if I'm going to have to push it into the fall. So stay tuned for that. We have a lot of new guides coming out. We have a teen guide coming out in July, so things for the teens to do and resources for them and stuff, because there's a lot available in Monmouth County. So I want to highlight some of the cool places for you to bring your teens, or your teens can go to. We have our pet care guide coming out, so all the dog parks that you can go to, veterinarians, groomers, all of that. We have a realtor guide coming out. I have never done a realtor guide, but I thought that it was a good opportunity because there are so many of them. Yeah. And we like interviewed them and kind of like highlight what makes why they're passionate about being a realtor and what they know about the area, so you can kind of use your own judgment as to who you'd like to use when you're trying to buy a house like me. And as always, our outdoor dining guide is out right now, and our beach guide, which is great. We update it every year with all the local beaches, the beach passes, beach clubs, so information on all the different clubs to go to, and the pool clubs too, and the splash pads. So if you're, interested in maybe joining a pool club this year, or I know a lot of the beach clubs have like a wait list, so there's a lot of pool clubs in the area that are really nice, especially the one that we belong to in Aberdeen, the Cambridge Club. It's so nice. It's like a little mini vacation around the corner from my house. So now everyone knows where I live. And then all the splash pads too in Monmouth County. So check that out. We update it every year, so it has the most recent information. And as always, make sure to check our calendar for all of the local events and activities happening. We have all the new farmers markets throughout the area listed on there, and all the fun festivals and fairs and everything happening in Monmouth. So we're so lucky to live in such a great area. And I hope that I can bring and highlight all of the best that we have to offer. So take a look and enjoy the week. Thanks, everyone.